Hey, happy Taco Tuesday from yours truly, CJ Curry. I'm back. I'm lobbing more NBA player props your way like John Morant's lobbing invisible grenades into the crowd these days. So if you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. Now we're on our way to 30K. I'd like to get that done by the end of the NBA season. So you sharing these videos, sharing the channel with a friend, really helps the channel grow quite a bit. Let's go for more than 150 likes on today's video, see if we can get that done. I appreciate you in advance. And of course, if you guys continue to show love, I'll continue to show up and put these NBA playoff videos together for you. Now, you guys who have been commenting down in the comment section below have been doing so because I've been giving away a free month of Dub Club, and we're going to do that right now. We're looking at comments from yesterday's video. Anybody who left a comment with a winning player prop is eligible as long as you subscribe and hit the like button as well. And Tony DP66 is yesterday's winner. He was like an OG Anunoby under points, rebounds, and assists. And I'm happy to report, or maybe I'm not happy to report, because a lot of people were taking the overs on OG Anunoby. That OG Anunoby stayed well under his points, rebounds, and assists line. He did not have himself a great game. I know a lot of people were writing the overs on OG Anunoby, including yours truly. I had the over on his field goal attempts, the over on his fantasy score. So I took a couple of different OG Anunoby overs, and neither one of them ended up hitting for me. So if you did, like Tony said here, and took the under on OG Anunoby's points, rebounds, and assists, that was a winning pick. Congratulations to Tony. Now, Tony, all you got to do now is go down to the description of today's video, click the free Discord link. Once you're inside Discord, shoot me a direct message, a DM, and I will send you a Dub Club link where you can start getting all my picks, plays, and parlays for the next month for free. Thanks for the support on the channel, Tony. Congratulations. All right, let's get into today's NBA player props. It is Taco Tuesday, meaning there's going to be several different discounted player projections across the board here on PrizePicks today. And the first one I think that they blessed us with was this one is Ja Morant. Now, obviously, the Memphis Grizzlies got smashed by the Oklahoma City Thunder in that last game. I think the Thunder won by 50 points or something. Ja Morant says, hey, we're never going to play as bad as we did in that first game ever again. So maybe the Memphis Grizzlies dig down deep and lose by 30 instead of 50 tonight. You know what I'm saying? It's probably going to happen. But anyway, 19.5 points. He was at 22.5. It's been discounted by 3 points. Just keep in mind that these Taco Tuesday plays are not locks. They're not guarantees. There are no locks or guarantees in sports betting. This is very much gambling. Even when we get a Taco Tuesday discount, that doesn't mean it's a free square. That doesn't mean that Ja Morant is guaranteed to get 20 or more points tonight. So keep that in mind and bet responsibly is all I can tell you, folks. But yeah, that one's looking like one that I'll probably take advantage of. Hopefully Ja and the Memphis Grizzlies play a little bit better tonight. But let's get into some of the other picks that I found today, starting with this first one, Luka Doncic of the Los Angeles Lakers. He has been consistently going under on a couple different player props. His 7 assists, and he has been going under on his 16 rebounds and assists. So I'm looking at the under on both of these, or you could choose your favorite one out of the two. We'll break each one down, but both of these looking like pretty solid options for unders. Let's go over to the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer and go hunting here for these props. Luka Doncic, number of different ways that you could play Luka today. The top play right now is going to be the over on his points, rebounds, and assists at 46.5. Not really interested in that. I'm looking at the assists at 7, 53.2% chance that he collects 7 or fewer assists tonight. And the rebounds and assists are sitting at 16. So there's about a 51 to almost 52% chance that he has 16 or fewer rebounds and assists tonight. So those are the two props that I'm looking at, a 53.2% chance and a 51.8% chance. So if you were to try to narrow this down, I guess you would take the assists under 7. And then if that one goes down to 6.5, then you could always go ahead and pivot over to the under on the rebounds and assists as an alternative play. But going over to RotoWire, we're looking at Luka Doncic projections now on RotoWire. You can see that pretty much everything Luka Doncic related, according to the RotoWire tools here, which factors in sportsbook data, DFS Pick'em app data, it looks at their proprietary projection for a player on their models, and it looks at the hit rates as well, and it kind of gives you just a quick glimpse of should you go over or under. And so a lot of Luka Doncic plays are leaning toward the under today, including the points plus assists, the points. Here's the rebounds and assists at 16, and then the assists, we talked about those as well, sitting out at 7. So let's start with those. The assists sitting at 7. He's projected for about 7.06 assists today. Now remember, on these projections, you always want to shave off another additional about 10% or so from these projections. And when you do that, that would definitely put him closer to being around 6 than 7. Now, if he has 8 or more, we're in real trouble. We'll lose this particular player prop. But he hasn't done that in recent games here. If you look at the last 10 games, specifically the last 7 games, he's had 7 or fewer assists in 7 straight games now. Go back a little bit further to games against Houston, Memphis, and Chicago. He did go over. He had 9, 9, and 8 in those particular matchups. So Luka has been staying under pretty consistently at 7 assists. Now, taking a look at some of the home games, the last few home games that he's played in, he's had 1, 7, 6, 7, 9, 6, and 7 assists. So he's only went over once in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 home games when it comes to the assist category. As far as heads-to-heads against Minnesota, he has stayed under 7 assists in 3 straight games against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So he's been doing a good job of staying under. We also talked about the rebounds and assists for Luka. Let's look at the player projection for that. 16.27. Again, if you shave 10% off of that, that puts him under 16. So hopefully he stays under 17 rebounds and assists. Now, this has been another prop where he has stayed under pretty consistently. He's only went over twice in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 games. So he stayed under in 12 of his last 14 games at 16 rebounds plus assists. So the under looking like the better option as of late for Luka Doncic. Now against Minnesota, kind of the same situation. He's played Minnesota now a number of times. Over the last 5 head-to-heads, he stayed under 17 rebounds and assists in 4 out of 5 games. So he's only went over one time. That was February 27th, where he had 18 rebounds and assists versus Minnesota. So out of the last 5 head-to-head matchups, has only went over 16 rebounds and assists once out of the last 5. So let's look at some other projections here on some other sites. We're going to go over here to Fantasy Labs and look at Luka Doncic's projections there. He's projected for about 6.3 assists, which puts him under 7 assists according to Fantasy Labs, and his rebounds and assists are at 14.8. Again, his line is 16 rebounds and assists on PrizePicks. So both of these looking like you should be leaning toward the under. Going over to shot quality. Shot quality is going to have really nice NBA projections as well. Highly recommend them. 6.91 assists. Again, his line is 7. So closer to the under than the over. And then 14.85 rebounds and assists on a line of 16 RA for Luka Doncic. So another under projection for him over on shot quality. And we'll also check out Line Star for you guys as well. The projections for Luka there, 5.4 for the assists and 14.8 for the rebounds and assists. So more under projections coming off of these models for Luka Doncic. So I would lean toward the under on either one of those. Moving on to our next play, it's Pascal Siakam of the Indiana Pacers. And I was looking at his rebounds for more at 7 boards. He's been doing a really good job in the last few games of collecting 7 or more boards. And head-to-head speaking, does a really good job against the Milwaukee Bucks at collecting 7 or more rebounds. So let's take a look at Pascal Siakam over on the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer and see if this is a plus EV play for the over or the under. Now, it's sitting right around 50% for the over, which means it's about a coin flip, all right? It could break either way. But I think based on the historical data that we have here on Siakam and the fact that he has done such a good job recently of collecting at least 7 boards, I think 7's a pretty safe landing spot for him, but there will be some upside here for him to have, 8 or 9 rebounds if things go well. So let's take a look at some projections for Pascal Siakam to further illustrate my point. He is projected for 8.34 rebounds according to RotoWire. So love that projection. That's a 1.34 rebound differential. Gotta love that. Taking a look at the last 5 games here for Pascal Siakam. As I mentioned, he's He's really picked it up here. Had 10 against Washington, 8 against Cleveland, and then 7 in game 1 against the Milwaukee Bucks. Over the last 13 games, 13 head-to-heads versus Milwaukee, he's had at least 7 rebounds in 11 out of 13 head-to-heads versus the Milwaukee Bucks. So he does rebound well against the Bucks, and as I mentioned, he does have some upside here in this matchup, collecting 8, 9 rebounds on multiple occasions, as many as 11, 12, and 13 rebounds in some of these head-to-head matchups. So I think the head-to-head here for Pascal Siakam versus Milwaukee is kind of encouraging, and I love the projections as well. Let's take a look at some other projections for Siakam. We'll go back over here to Fantasy Labs. They've got him projected for about 7.7 rebounds, so closer to 8 than 7 according to that projection. Go over here to Shot Quality. Shot Quality's got him up at 8 rebounds, so a whole rebound higher than his line on PrizePicks at 7. We could also take a look at Line Star. Line Star's projection for Pascal Siakam sitting out here at 7.3, so a little bit lower or conservative, but still that 7, like I mentioned before, should be a pretty safe landing spot. He's at 6.5 rebounds on most books, and he's really juiced over for 6.5. So a lot of money coming in over 6.5 boards, which means, it implies that he should have at least 7 rebounds in this matchup. So kind of really liking that one too. Moving on to the next pick, it's going to be Dante Duvernay of the Minnesota Timberwolves. I was looking at his fantasy score, which is sitting at 21. This looks like a pretty decent play. I was looking at some matchups as well. Point guards versus the Los Angeles Lakers over the last 7 games or so. LA is actually giving up a top 10 figure when it comes to fantasy points per game to opposing point guards. They actually ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th most. Giving up the 8th most fantasy score. And obviously Dante DiVincenzo is the type of guy who has sticky fingers. And that ain't because he's been eating barbecue chicken wings, okay? That's because he is a bandit when it comes to steals, blocks. He gets his hands on the basketball on the defensive end. So I like this matchup here versus LA. Taking a look at some projections for Dante DiVincenzo. We're going to go back over here to RotoWire. DiVincenzo sitting at 21 fantasy score. Most of his projections, if you look at RotoWire today, are going to be lean more for the projections based on the hit rates, based on the different sportsbook data it's pulling in, the different DFS Pick'em app data it's pulling in, and their proprietary projections as well. So you kind of see everything leaning more for Dante DiVincenzo. We're looking at the fantasy score today, and for the season, he's hit the over on 21 fantasy points in 63% of the games that he's played in, 24.3 fantasy points per game for Dante DiVincenzo. Now, in terms of the away games, he's got about a 59% hit rate in away games played. Done a really good job here over the last 20 away games or so at recording fantasy points. Now, against the Los Angeles Lakers, well, he's played them now a total of 7 times over the last 2 seasons. And in those head-to-head matchups, he's gone over in 5 out of 7. Now, that includes going over in 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5 head-to-heads just this season alone. So nice 4 out of 5 hit rate for Dante DiVincenzo. Averages right around 26.4 fantasy points per game when playing against the Los Angeles Lakers. Let's get a couple more projections for you. We're going to go over to Shot Quality for the next projection on Dante DiVincenzo's fantasy score. 22.8, so a little higher than the 21 fantasy points that he's listed at over on PrizePicks. We'll also check out Line Star. Line Star provides fantasy score projections as well as individual player prop projections. They've got DiVincenzo at about 22.1 fantasy points today. And we can also check out FanDuel Research, formerly known as NumberFire. They've got him at 24.4 fantasy points. So pretty much all these projection models have Dante DiVincenzo going for more than 21 fantasy points today. Which brings us to the next pick, Jaylen Williams of the Oklahoma City Thunder. This one looked like a pretty promising play at 5 rebounds. I was leaning toward the over on this one. I was also considering the rebounds and assists at 10, but I think I ruled it out and decided to kind of narrow it down and just go with the 5 rebounds. It looked a little bit safer. 5 boards versus the Memphis Grizzlies tonight. So taking a look at the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer, we want to see how the juice is flowing in on this pick on the various sports books and betting apps. So if we punch in Jaylen Williams' name, you can see he's got about a 52.4 64% chance of having at least 5 rebounds or more based on the odds pulled in from these books. Minus 158 betting favorite on a site like Pinnacle. A huge minus 172 betting favorite on FanDuel. Minus 150 on BetMGM. Minus 153 on BetOnline. So you can kind of see that a lot of the money is coming in on the over at 4.5 rebounds, which is why PrizePicks is offering him to us at 5. So 5 should be a pretty safe landing spot. Hopefully there's some upside and he actually plays in the fourth quarter. Unlike the last game, didn't have to play in the fourth quarter because they were up by 50 points. But yeah, if this one's closer and more competitive, Jaylen Williams will see a little bit more run and should have a good opportunity of collecting 6 or more rebounds. But the 5 should be a pretty soft landing spot for him. So at 5 rebounds, you can see that as far as the lean more options go, this is the top lean more option for Jaylen Williams at 5 rebounds. So we cracked this open. Take a look at his game logs from this season. He's hit 5 or more rebounds in 63% of the games that he's appeared in. For me, I always look for a prop to hit at least a 60% hit rate or higher. And in this case, 63% is good money for me. Averages right around 5.3 rebounds per game in that 71 games that he's appeared in. Now, in terms of home games, rebounds go down just a little bit, just a tick. 4.7 rebounds per game at home, 53% hit rate. But against the Memphis Grizzlies now, he's played them 6 times. In the last 6 head-to-heads, he's had at least 5 rebounds in 6 straight head-to-heads. And as I mentioned, there's some upside here. He's had games where he's collected 7, 10, and 6 rebounds. Hasn't done that in his last 3, but there's always that opportunity for him to have 5 or more boards, especially against this team. So that one looked pretty good. Let's run some projections on this particular player prop. We'll go back over here to Fantasy Labs, projected for exactly 5 rebounds on Fantasy Labs. Shot quality. Let's check their projection. He's at 5.15 rebounds on shot quality. Going over to Line Star now. Line Star has him at 6.2 rebounds. So very generous projection there. So again, 5 should be attainable. Hopefully it's more like 6, but we'll see how things play out for Jaylen Williams tonight. Which brings me to the very last play of the video. Whew. Time flies when we're having fun, folks. Austin Reeves, I'm looking at him to have at least 4 assists. And I think this kind of correlates well with like a Luka under assist. You take Austin Reeves over assist. Maybe Luka has fewer ball handling duties. Maybe Reeves steps his game up and gets back into the pass first mode. I think it's going to be a big game for LeBron and Luka from an offensive standpoint, but we'll see. LeBron was kind of quiet in that last game. I think they're going to need him to step up, not lean on Luka so damn much. But anyway, Austin Reeves at 4 assists or more looks like a pretty decent option. Let's go take a look at the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer. Punching in Austin Reeves' names, you can see a number of different ways that you could play Reeves. The assist is the one I'm looking at, though. At 4 assists, about a 51.2% chance that he has at least 4 assists. He's at 3.5 on a site like FanDuel. At 3.5 assists, a minus 196 betting favorite to go over at 3.5 assists. So pretty good chance here that he has at least 4 based on the implied odds pulled from these sports books. Now, will he have 5? That remains to be seen. But I think 4 is kind of a comfortable, soft number here for Austin Reeves. He should be able to get that done. Let's go look at RotoWire now. Austin Reeves sitting out here at 4 assists. We're going to scroll down, pop open this player card. He's projected for about 5.07 assists. That's a 1.07 assist differential. So love that. Nice projection for Austin Reeves. If we take a look at his hit rates, he's had 4 or more assists in 73% of the games that he's played in this season, averaging 5.7 assists per game in that 74 games that he's appeared in. Now, when he plays at home, typically does a pretty decent job there as well. 75% hit rate, 5.7 assists per game. And then against the Minnesota Timberwolves, he's now played them in a total of 8 games head-to-head over the last 2 seasons. Has 4 or more assists in 5 out of 8 games. So he did come up short against Minnesota in the last game, finished with 3 assists. But you can see the previous games that he appeared in, 6 against Houston, 4 against Dallas, 5 against OKC. He definitely has the ability to get 4 or more assists. Hopefully today's more of a bounce back game and he gets back to handling the ball a little bit more, making some plays, and the Lakers are making their shots and helping Mr. Reeves get these assists. Taking a look at some other projections for Austin Reeves. We're going to go back over here to Fantasy Labs. And on Fantasy Labs, he's projected for about 4.5 assists there. So more than 4. Looks good. Taking a look at shot quality. Shot quality's got him at 5.14 assists. So a more healthier, higher projection for Austin Reeves over on shot quality. And then, of course, we've got to look at Line Star while we have it up. And Line Star's got Austin Reeves projected for about 4.8 assists tonight. So there you go. Austin Reeves over 4 assists, the last pick of today's video. Now's the time where I shut up and I turn things over to you. You now have the keys to the car. Are you riding with these picks, or are you hitching a ride from someone else? Let me know. Tailing them or fading them? Comment down in the comment section below. Appreciate all the comments. And if you're trying to win that free month of Dub Club, you know what to do. Leave your best, most confident player prop down in the comment section below. I'll randomly select one. If it ends up being a winning pick, then you will be the person featured in the next video to win a free month of Dub Club. Good luck on all your picks, plays, and parlays. And if you're inside of Dub Club and Discord, I'll be sending some slips out throughout the day.